Lena Morales had worked the late shift at Emberwood Diner for almost 3 years, and in that time she had seen every type of customer-lonely travelers, tired truck drivers, couples whisper arguing in corners, teenagers laughing too loudly, and the usual crowd of regulars who claimed they came for the coffee but really stayed for the warmth the place gave. But the man who walked in every Tuesday at 9:42 p.m. was different. He moved like a shadow, silent, tall, composed, and always dressed in a dark coat no matter the season. He never smiled, never lingered, never made small talk. He ordered the same thing every time: black coffee, no sugar, no cream. And despite the emptiness in his eyes, he always left a tip precisely folded into fourths, never more, never less. The name on the card he once dropped only once was Evan Thorne. Lena had returned it to him before he could even reach the door. He'd taken it with a curt nod, his fingers brushing hers for the briefest moment. The touch had startled them both, as if neither of them had expected warmth at that hour of night. Tonight, as he slid into his usual booth, something felt different. Lena sensed it the moment he exhaled, not the usual steady quiet, but something heavier, something tired, something breaking. She grabbed a fresh mug, filled it with steaming coffee, and walked over. "Evening," she said, placing the cup in front of him, careful not to break the fragile quiet he carried. "Rough day?" He didn't look up. His jaw tightened. "Every day is rough." Lena blinked, surprised. He rarely gave more than 2-word answers. "Well, if it helps, tonight's coffee is on the house." His eyes finally lifted, dark and unreadable. "Why?" "You look like someone who needs one win," she said with a small smile. For a second, a short, fleeting second, something flickered across his face. Not a smile, not exactly. More like an acknowledgement that someone had noticed him, really noticed him. Then it was gone, replaced by that cold, guarded expression he wore like armor. "You don't have to do that," he said quietly. "I know," she answered, "but I want to." Lena walked away before he could argue. She didn't know why she cared about softening a man who clearly didn't want to be softened. Maybe it was the loneliness she saw in his eyes. Maybe it was the tired slump in his shoulders. Or maybe it was because she had been lonely once too. So lonely it felt like oxygen was something she had to earn. When she looked back, he wasn't drinking the coffee. He was staring at the mug like it was a memory. He didn't drink it for almost a full minute. Then finally, he lifted it to his lips. And for the first time since she'd known him, he sighed like the warmth hit a place he hadn't let anything touch in a long time. Across the diner, the door opened and a small girl with dark curls rushed inside, clutching a pink backpack to her chest. "Daddy!" Lena froze. "Daddy!" Evan turned sharply, his eyes widening in alarm, not annoyance, not frustration, but fear. The girl launched herself into his arms, and he held her tightly, breathing into her hair like relief had punched the air out of him. "Lily, what are you doing here?" he asked, voice cracking just enough for Lena to hear. Lily sniffed. "The babysitter said she didn't feel good. She told me to stay in my room, but I got scared at the thunder." There was no thunder, but the little girl didn't need truth. She needed safety. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know where else to go." Evan kissed the top of her head. "You did the right thing." Lena watched silently, a warmth forming in her chest. She never imagined the cold, distant man had a daughter. But there she was, small, messy-haired, terrified, and clinging to him like he was the only safe place in the world. Lena walked over gently. "Hi," she said softly. "I'm Lena. Do you want something warm to drink?" Lily peeked out from her father's coat, eyes big and glassy. "Can I have hot chocolate?" Evan opened his mouth. "Lily, we don't—" "It's on me," Lena said before he could finish. He stared at her, jaw set. "You don't have to, I want to," she said again. For the second time tonight, he had no answer. She returned with the hot chocolate, topped with 2 marshmallows, and placed it in front of Lily. The little girl gasped quietly, sliding into the booth. She took a sip and let out a small, blissful sigh. "Daddy, it's really good." And then something happened that Lena never expected. A tiny smile tugged at the corner of Evan's mouth. It was small, barely there, but real. When Lily wasn't looking, he whispered to Lena, "Thank you." They were the first words he'd ever said to her that carried warmth instead of ice. As the diner emptied out and closing time approached, the storm outside began to rattle the windows. Lily had fallen asleep beside her father, her head resting on his lap. Evan traced a hand through his daughter's curls, his gaze soft in a way Lena had never seen from him. "You're different tonight," she said gently from across the booth. He didn't look at her. "Parenthood does that. Some days you're stronger than you feel. Other days—" His voice trailed off. "Other days you break." Lena sat beside him, not touching him, just close enough to be present. "You don't have to break alone," she whispered. He looked at her, then really looked like he was trying to figure out why her presence made the air feel less heavy. "I don't let people in," he said quietly. "That's okay," she answered softly. "Walls don't disappear in one night. Sometimes they just crack a little." Evan swallowed, his eyes dropping to her hands resting gently on the table. "And you think you're the one who can crack them?" he asked, his voice a low whisper. "No," Lena said, her smile small but steady. "I think you already did." For the first time since she'd known him, he didn't look away. Evan carried Lily to the car with a gentleness that didn't match the hardness he showed the world. The rain had softened to a cold mist, the kind that clung to the skin and made every sound feel distant. Lena walked behind them, holding the door open, unsure whether to step away or stay near. She didn't want to cross boundaries, especially his, but something in the way he looked over his shoulder told her he wasn't ready for her to leave yet. He placed Lily carefully in the back seat, tucking her small blanket around her. When he closed the door, he leaned forward, both hands pressed against the car roof, as if the weight of the night rested on his shoulders. Lena approached slowly. "You okay?" she asked softly. He didn't lift his head. "I should be. I have to be." His voice cracked. "But I'm not." Lena swallowed, resisting the urge to touch him. Being strong doesn't mean pretending. He exhaled, a long, shaky breath that said more than any confession he could have made. "I wasn't supposed to have her tonight. I wasn't prepared. I never am, not completely." "She's safe," Lena whispered, "with you." He let out a hollow laugh. "She ran in the rain to find me. That's not safety, that's desperation." "That's trust," Lena corrected gently. "Kids run to the person they believe won't fail them." He finally looked at her, rain streaking down his cheeks like something he would never call tears. "What if I do?" "You won't," she said, and this time she reached out slow, careful, and touched his arm. "And even if you stumble, that doesn't make you a bad father. It makes you human." He closed his eyes at her touch, not pulling away, not tensing, just letting her be there. It felt like standing next to a cracked dam, one wrong word capable of either shattering it or holding it together. Lena chose softness. "You don't have to carry everything alone," she murmured. "Not tonight." A silence settled between them, warm despite the cold rain. Lily stirred in the back seat, and the small movement shifted something in Evan's expression. Something uncertain, something breaking open. "What if I don't know how to let someone in?" he asked. Lena moved her hand from his arm, letting her fingers slide away slowly so he wouldn't feel abandoned. "Then we start small." He swallowed, eyes flickering to her lips before darting away again. "Small? Like letting someone care?" she said. A quiet moment stretched, and for the first time he didn't hide behind that emotionless shell. He let her see him raw, exhausted, scared, but trying so hard. The rain fell steady around them, tapping gently against the car roof, grounding the moment. "Lena," he whispered. She stepped closer, not touching him, just near enough that he could feel her warmth. "I'm here." He didn't move, didn't speak. But the look in his eyes said everything. He didn't know how to say out loud. He needed someone, even if he didn't know how to admit it. And for the first time, he didn't push her away.